Suleiman,
Saadadeen.
what's on your mind, bro?
What's on my mind? So I listened to a podcast this morning, and there was a particular line that really stood out to me. And the line was from a very famous sports coach. It was the Tim Ferriss podcast. I don't know if you've heard of it. And what the sports coach said was, the most precious resource to human beings is not time but energy. The most precious resource to human beings is not time but energy. What do you guys think about that?
I agree, definitely. Energy allows you to do something with the time, doesn't it? Do you see? So you can have as much time as you want. No energy, you can't do anything. So you see, the energy allows you to kind of utilize the time in the right way. So I guess also you have the energy and got the time, then, you know. But yeah, I see why you said that. I don't like to agree with things as absolutes. Do you see? Sometimes I can see, you know, two things can be true at the same time. Do you see? So I can see why he said that. But yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose you have to agree with it. Because I think to get things done takes energy more so than time, innit? You can have a lot of time. Have you heard of Parkinson's law? Yeah. So it's the idea that if you have 20 years to do 5 minutes worth of work, it will take you 20 years.
Yeah.
But if you have like 5 minutes to do 30 minutes worth of work, you can try and make it work. And I think a large part that's to do with energy more so than time. So yeah.
The reason why I found it mad interesting is because, you see, when I was studying economics, like one of the biggest indicators to see which countries were more developed was like mortality rate. How long did the average person in that country live for? But now I'm thinking about it, is that really a good indicator to see how developed a country is? Because in Britain, for example, let's say the average lifespan is 80 years. But for many people, after the age of 50, they're using drugs to keep them going for the next 30 years. Do you see? So sometimes I feel like we equate surviving with living.
So anyone wondering whose voice that is in the background, someone we haven't introduced yet, yeah? So this person... This person's reputation precedes them because you've probably heard their name on a lot of our different podcasts. So.
I'm going to be disappointed now. Is this it?
So Jacob mentioned that Ezra, you get me? He did, but it was off camera. I have to back him. But definitely been like a hugely influential person in my life and still is. Both me and Suleiman have been very excited to bring on.
Oh gosh, the pressure. Pressure. That's a lot of pressure, Saadadeen. That is a lot of pressure. So that's not me. I'm not big enough Saadadeen. So if you're disappointed, that's all on Sad, please. Yeah, that's not me. Yeah.
We'll share the blame, innit?
Yeah.
How does it make you feel when you hear, like, I don't know, Jacob or Ezra or I don't know, any of us kind of talk about our time with you back in school days?
Do you know, it is my biggest brag honestly in my whole life. Like with I've got kids, I've got 4 children, and like they're, you know, amazing. My kids are amazing. Like I'm so thankful to God for my kids. I was like, you know, thank God, you know, this is just like, as a human being, I don't know how I could have, you know, my family, and you lot are like that extended family, like you lot are my kids, and it's like, you don't have to. It's like, it's a job, isn't it, at one point, you know, whatever, that you don't have to remember me, you don't have to kind of want to reach out all the time, you don't have to kind of, you know, and actually it's the biggest brag. Like, I don't care if I died a pauper, the amount of times I remember my birthday, like when the kids come back and they come like, oh, miss, you know, whatever, when the kids come back and say, you know, they're at uni. One of my old students from Kingsdale, Josh, he was at Oxford, you know, head boy, whatever they call it there, the posh words for the whatever, I don't know, because I've never been there.
Which Josh?
Right?
Josh Tulloch.
Oh, so he's at Oxford right now?
No, he's like, he graduated last year.
Oh, okay.
You know, invited me round, went down there, graduated. He asked me to come to his graduation.
Wow.
You know, it's just like, so you don't understand like how it really fills me with pride. Like that's one thing I brag about all the time. Oh, you know, oh my gosh, look at where this one is, and they said this or whatever. Like honestly, it's the best. It's such a nice feeling. It's the best. You know, that's what makes teaching rewarding for me anyway. It's like, because I live and breathe my job. So, and these kids are a massive part of me. So when you look like kind of, yeah, it's a lot. And actually, I feel the same way. I say the same thing about them. So it's like, yeah.
Do you know what that makes me think of? Like I was listening. This is from another podcast. So shout out
Man's
everyone that
just
loves
listening
podcasts.
to
Wow.
Bro, all of my ideas are from podcasts. I create nothing original. There was a question like, how do you want to be remembered after you die, or like what phrase or description do you want on your tombstone? And for a lot of people, it's like, he was a loving father. She was a loving mother. She was a loving teacher. Those are the types of phrases we would probably want on our tombstones, rather than the accolades, all of the status symbols that we commonly think is associated with success. I think it's a lot to do with our connection with people.
Yeah.
I think that's what your comments just reminded me.
Yeah. Loving mother would be because actually that's how I feel. That's how I bring my mother, like me being a mother, I bring that to my teaching, whatever. So being a loving just giver, that would be something that, because it's and teaching is a very egotistical job. You are standing in front of a group of people who have to respect that you know what you're talking about. You're worthy of respect. You can control all of those things. It's very difficult, when you're teaching, when you're training like new teachers, like don't take it personally. These kids are there for the bands, they're there. And actually, they just, don't take it personally. Just be yourself and let them know they need you. They need to win you over, not you win them over. Do you understand? It's very, and then somebody else comes into, one of your colleagues will come in and come and observe and tell you whether you're doing it right or doing it wrong. Do you see? So there's always that kind of judgment on you as a teacher. So it is the kids that kind of make it worthwhile. And actually, anybody who says that, I don't really care what the kids say, it's a lie. Like, you don't care and you don't do it because of what the kids say. But when they come back and they say, honestly, it's the best thing. Even when a kid sends you a card and they write a message, not just, miss, have a Merry Christmas, bye, but they say, miss, thank you for da-da-da-da-da, and they remember something, and I could do that to every kid that I've taught. Thank you for this. There's always something that they leave with you, do you see? So it's that relationship. It just kind of established that actually there is a relationship there. And, And because with our relationships as well, we're always bantering. We don't really gas each other up. Like, we're always trying to bring each other down. That's my way anyway. In my family, in my home, we banter all the time. In my classroom, anybody who's been in my classroom knows that Miss is about the banter. If I haven't been about the banter in your classroom, that means maybe the banter really wasn't. But that's how it is. So we don't really do that. Do you see? And I think my background is where we don't really do that. You just kind of do your job. That's what you're supposed to be doing. So when the love comes back, it's like, whoa. And the kids just like, they're really good like that. So it does, like, I do cry. Like when I posted the little snippet of what Sad said, whatever, and then one of my girls from messaged me and said, don't lie, you cried. You cried, yeah, I was cried, yeah.
We got on video call when I showed it to Dee, innit? She's like, what are you doing? And I was like, yeah, you ain't heard this yet, have you? And then she was proper taking it in. I was like, you're folding. She's like, oh my God. I was like, it's not that deep, It's 30
I put
seconds.
in the family group chat and said, just scroll to 22. That's a good 22 minutes.
Get to the meat of it.
But it was like, bless, but yeah. And the kids are just like, whatever. I'm like, a prophet is never recognised in his own home. So, whatever, whatever. We'll watch it later.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What do you have a response to that?
To what question?
To the tombstone thing. What
would be very similar to what Dee just said, like my personal relationships. The reason why I find it so important, that question so important, is because it just G-checks you. It makes you like, when you're like too invested in something material, you just need to chat to yourself for a second. Like, at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, this is not what I want to be remembered for. So let my heart not be fully in it.
Definitely. It's all about your relationships. It's the relationships, definitely. It is, and actually, kids coming back means that relationship was established, and they remember it, and they want to continue it, and that's just amazing. It's yeah. Okay, so let's see. When my mum was pregnant with my younger brother, I was about 5. She was widowed. My stepdad, but he's the only dad I knew. So my dad was murdered. We lived in Brixton, so we moved out. We were moved out of the area and the rest of it. Then my mum had my brother. My mum's very hot on education, whatever. She was a single parent, widowed, whatever. And I wasn't. I was very clever. Obviously. No, I'm joking. I was a clever kid, but I never knew I was clever. And I never thought I should be. It was weird, whatever. So I remember being at, I went to a prep school for a little bit. And then I left there, went to another school. That time, I think it was Virgo Fidelis for about less than a year. I hated it there. It was when they had the junior school thing. I hated it there. Then I came to Christchurch in Brixton Hill. Amazing. I was right at home. Like everybody around there was like me. It was like whatever. I felt like this. I belonged. Whatever. And I remember in year 6, our head teacher had a group of kids that he took to go and like as a group to tutor for like 11 pluses. I didn't even know what this was about. Like he had, and I was in this group. And I'm looking around and I'm seeing like these kids in here, like not like me, but anyway. And we just go in that. It was just games, like you do 11 plus quizzes and doing whatever and the rest of it. And then he told my mum, you need to put her in for the 11 pluses, whatever. So we did that. We did all the tests, whatever, did well, and then we got into Streatham High was the one my mum chose because it was local. We lived in Streatham. It was so it's local. And I loved my friends, but I didn't like the school. And for me, because all my friends had gone to BTG here, they're here. Why am I in this school, this green school, this posh school? Why am I here? Like, and I didn't understand it. And people used to get at me for it as well. Like, 'cause people who knew me from primary school was like, oh, you're in that, And I never appreciated it. And I think there were teachers there that who thought this girl actually knows her stuff, but I wasn't interested. I just wanted to be me, who I thought I was. Do you get me? Like, making jokes, cracking jokes. I was always disrupting lessons. I was just so and my mum was just like, because my mum, typical African woman, she's doing her thing, she's a nurse, she's working day and night to help us to do this. I want my daughter to do this, and everybody's telling about the potential her daughter has, but her daughter doesn't really care and the rest of it. And eventually, long story short, I was quote unquote asked to leave, excluded, whatever, leave the school because I had a fight and the police came to the school to come and look for me, and it was just like this girl doesn't want to be here. Do you see? And also I'd got an assisted place, so it's like whatever. So my mum was like and I remember in the meeting with the head teacher, I think the head teacher wanted me to say sorry and say, what can we do to support you to do better? And I was just sitting there like, no, my mum was like speaking to me in Tree with Ghanaian, and she's like, just say sorry and just say you won't do it again and whatever. And I'm just like, no, I'm thinking this is my chance to get out of here. Do you see? And I remember just thinking like, no, nothing, whatever. And I was so happy to be getting out of the school. I did. I went. My mum said, "You're not staying in this country if this is how you're behaving." And I went to Ghana. It was the making of me. The making of me. Being sent to Ghana was the making of me. The best thing my mum ever did for me. And she didn't even do it like a punishment. Oh, you're going to Africa. You're going to go and suffer. We never saw Africa like that. You see, I was brought up quite African, we spoke language, we ate the food, so Africa wasn't like a punishment, It was just you're going to Ghana now because you're not, whatever. So
How did you feel about going to Ghana when you were that young? Like, did you look at it as like an exciting opportunity, or were you a bit resentful?
Honestly, I think I just didn't, whatever. I was like that, a bit like that. Do you get me? Okay, That's just what I was. I think it was okay, cool. Well, I'll go, go to Ghana, and when I got there, the first, I went there, it was boarding school. It was like, and it was amazing. Honestly, if I start, that would be a whole podcast on its own, like a whole series, whatever. And it was making over there. People we're serious out here. Do you know what I mean? No one's got time for your nonsense. Who you gonna fight with? No one's fighting. No whatever. Everybody in the club. No one's gonna bounce off your energy. So your energy needs to be redirected. So as much as I know, like with my ADHD head and whatever. No one's really the system is kind of set up to kind of support you doing well and being focused and going in a particular way. Obviously, I stood out because I was quite, everybody from school like, oh my gosh, on that school she was so hilarious. But it was positive, the energy was always positive. It was like kind of like, yeah, we're cracking jokes, we're doing whatever. I'm the daring one. I'm gonna do. If you're daring someone to do something, I'm doing it. Do you get me? And this boarding school life was amazing like that because like you had your seniors watching you, whatever. So it's like if we could do stuff like that, we would. And I was not missing out. Do you get me? So you have the stories, And then I came back to England. Had to do A levels because the system over there doesn't translate to go straight to university. My mum said, you're not doing, that time it was GNVQs. My mum said, no, you're going to have a qualification, A levels. You're not doing GNVQ to whatever, you're going to do A levels. So I had to go and do 2 years of A levels at Burntwood. In that time, I got pregnant. I was pregnant with my eldest. And it was like, my mum was like, you're still going to go uni, you're still going to do whatever. And yeah, then I did. And then throughout uni, I was just having babies. I had like 3 kids while I was at uni. So I was, it took me a bit longer. But it was just like, yeah, I was married with 3 kids. For me, it was normal. When I look back now, I'm like, wow. Do you know, like, how was that possible. I remember working 2 jobs, going to uni, whatever. I remember I had a night job at Sainsbury's, and I remember one time coming home from the night job and just sleeping outside of the car, outside the house. Like, I had to drive early because I had to, whatever, and falling asleep and waking up. It was like midday because, like, obviously, it was crazy. Yeah, and then eventually when I finished uni, I went to work at Ashcroft, which was ADT at the time. Just trying to I just wanted to want a job. I didn't really need to work, just for I wanted a job. My husband's all right, whatever. I just kind of, and I got into, started as a learning support assistant, in the SEN area, and did that for a couple of years. Then I thought I'm going to go do my master's in education. Do you see, I started that. Then we got a new head teacher started, Marcus Barker. And I was doing unqualified teaching as well at the time because, once again, they had a group of kids that, were a bit naughty and, were kind of disrupting the rest of the class, maybe had been predicted lower than the others. So there's like, put them in another class and just teach them whatever. So I did. And I was doing that, and that became a thing, unqualified teaching. And then Marcus called me and said, you need to teach. Why are you not looking to test? So I was looking to do this. There was I was made promises about doing a training course online, or not online, on while you work. That's what, you want to you get paid while you train. And I was like, yeah, I was promised that, but that's why I started my master's. It didn't happen. And he said, we're going to make it happen because you need to become a teacher. And then, and that's it. And I was, that was it. And I became a teacher. And then from there, did my NQT year, which is 1 year. And then moved to Kingsdale. Well, then to Harris Peckham. Yeah. And then Richmond. And now I'm here. And now I'm at my current school. Yeah.
Skirted over the fact that your father was murdered, so I wanna ask you about how much you know about that.
Well, it was he was seeing my auntie off. My aunt used to wear a lot of gold back in the day. It was one of the guys from the estate who was high, but my dad knew him, and it was like, "Come on now, Dave. Like, come on, what you doing? Like, whatever." It's like, it's a bit like, I don't know, Saturday coming to mug my mum, and I'm like, like, come on, it's me. Do you get me? And as in that case, that's it, straight, knife in the heart, whatever, and done.
How old were you?
I was just nearly 5. Yeah, nearly 5. Yeah.
Do you remember being 5 and
I remember like the commotion afterwards, because I wasn't there when it happened.
Yeah.
But I remember like people coming to the house, the police coming to the house, news people being in the house, interviewing my mum. I remember everything. Happened. Yeah. And and then we had to move and all the rest of it. But yeah, it was that. But that's the thing. I think that's one of the things I always talk about in terms of like with our kids at the moment, like that trauma's never really dealt with. Kind of, you just get on with it. Do you get me? And that's that kind of. But I also don't want to create trauma. Do you see? If I don't feel it, then I don't have to force myself to feel that actually at that time, and I don't. Do you see? But I see it must have been a traumatic event. But I wonder how much it must have shaped certain things and create. But I don't know. Do you get me? But for my mum, that would have been a lot.
I think that's a topic that I've been thinking a lot about recently.
Yeah.
And I think I want to talk about this with both of you. When sometimes I struggle with like forcing connections between things.
Yep.
Like, to what extent? Like, how do you try to navigate that issue of thinking about the past, thinking about the present, thinking about the future, and not trying to force connections? Like, but at the same time, trying to understand the impact of past events. Like, is there a way that you guys have tried to deal with that in your lives?
For me, I think for me, I'm very expressive anyway. So if I'm happy, you're gonna hear I'm happy. If I'm angry, you're gonna hear I'm angry. I'm sad, whatever. So for me, I kind of expel those things anyway. I'm quite, and I have a lot of people around me that kind of can feed off my energy and kind of, whatever. And also being quite empathetic means that I'm quite, I feel other people's things anyways. But I'm also very like practical about stuff, like, were we going to wallow in this or what? Do you get me? And actually, one of the guys I worked with is a head teacher at another school now, Shirley High, Tyrone. He used to say to the kids, are you going to be what you are in spite of or because of? Do you see? And that's something you've got to make a decision. Like, tragedy happens everywhere. These things happen. And you've got to kind of make a decision. I think you've got to be practical about it. We can't always rest in our emotions. Do you see? And you have to be practical. And after a while, I feel this, but I want to get here. This is where I am right now. I want to be here. What do I need to do to get there? And that's how I deal with that.
Let's talk about friendship. So, like, how has your understanding of what a good friend is changed throughout your life?
Ooh, that's a good question. For me, it's always important that I'm a good friend. you can't control anybody but yourself. Do you see? You can only control yourself. And we are all fallible human beings. So and also whenever I take a friend, I take a sister, I'm not going to just drop it at like the drop of a hat. It's not like a frivolous thing. I've had people do like really things that have kind of hurt me, but you just like actually because I've probably done things that's hurt you. Do you see? But when the relationship fizzles out, if it has to, it has to. I don't want it to ever be a thing where we were like sisters at one point. Why should we be like seriously beefing or be enemies, whatever? So there's that. And I think it's really about me. It really is about me. You can't keep, also because people are, like I say, human beings are fallible. And someone's going to say something that is going to offend you and you've got to overthink it, whatever. But you can't throw a sister away. Do you understand? And that's just what it is. And I think it's all about how even when I have an argument with somebody or someone, and I know I've been disrespected, someone disrespects me, I always think to myself, what did I do to allow that? Do you see? That's just what it is. You've got to be in control. Otherwise, yeah. But friendship is really about, it's that chosen family, isn't it? That's that chosen family. It's that kind of, if it's real, and none of this, I'm leaving you in 2020, all that kind of stuff, whatever, you should be able to kind of like go to them with your problems. Like I got a really, one of my best friends, like my little sister, Yasmin, she's like, she knows everything, like, and I can go to her with anything. And she's like, yeah. And we've had arguments before, we haven't spoken before, but it's always in the end. And then even when we annoy each other, it's never going to be a thing. I can't imagine her not being in my life, do you see? And with kids as well, I think it's really important that I choose my friends wisely, because I want my kids to aspire, the people around me, do you see, to be aspirational. I don't want my kids to be around people that I wouldn't want them to be like. Then why are they here? They call them auntie and uncle, but Africans, everybody's auntie, uncle, do you see? They're in their life. They're whatever. I can go to them with, my problems or my successes or whatever. They can come to me too, do you see? And it's nice, and it's that reciprocal relationship.
So I asked Sadadine a question yesterday. I was like to him, why are human beings so good at giving advice to their friends, but not good at giving advice to themselves? Like, you know how we all have this private voice in our head? Mm-hmm. That private voice that kind of critiques our actions and our behavior. Mm-hmm. Like, because one of the quotes Sadadine mentioned in a previous podcast is you should speak to yourself the way you speak to your friends. Mm-hmm. Like, what do you guys think about that?
I think the thing is, you can, but it's about doing it, isn't it? It's doing. How many times do you give a friend advice and they don't do it anyway? So it's not that you can't give yourself that advice. It's just about not doing it. Secondly, there is something that, when you're in that, when it's you, it's subjective. You can't be objective about yourself. You can be, don't get me wrong, but when it comes to those kind of situations where you need to be advised, it's difficult to be objective about yourself. It's subjective, so it's biased at all times. So it's easy for me to look at you and say, you need to do X, Y, Z, A, B, C, and do whatever, because actually I can see where this is going. If it's, for example, let's say it's a relationship, for example, my feelings are not in there. Maybe you've got a boyfriend that's treating you like rubbish, and I think, why are you with him? Do you see? But your love isn't you might have put so much energy and everything into it. You're trying to will it to work, and he's telling you something in your ear. I can see it's lies, but you can't. So you see, but actually I know that I wouldn't have that. How? You can't say that because you don't know what would happen if you were, because actually you're now in an objective position where you can actually say, actually, this, I can see this for what it is. Where somebody else is that you're in it. It's like going to somebody's house. It's always easy to tidy up somebody else's house than your own. If I go to somebody's house and their room is messy, I will be able to tidy that in a hot second. Mine, I know that, this jumper, I might want to wear it next week. I don't know when if I'm going to find it, and I know this, whatever. Actually, I'd want to, and I'm even thinking about throwing these things out, and then it becomes a thing. Then you're watching something, you're procrastinating, and I think that's kind of how it is. I think it's about objectivity and subjectivity. It's difficult.
Yeah. What do you think?
I agree with you. I also think there's a part of it where, because you don't know all of the issues that someone else has to the extent that you know yours, you can perhaps see others in a rose-tinted way, in the same way that you might walk into a room and go, oh my days, this person's so confident, they have their life sorted out, etc., etc. But that's because what you see, do you know what I mean? But about yourself, you know every kind of level. And so I think we're far more, when we have that in our mind, we're far more critical about giving ourselves advice. Like, you're not gonna, you know what I mean? But with other people, because sometimes you can see them through that rose tinted view, you can kind of go, yeah, this will be fine for you. Like you'll be able to take this on board
And also it's
act upon it.
personalities as well, isn't it? Because you've got some people who are, once again, the who you are because of or in spite of. You've got excuses, haven't you? So I can't do this because da 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 da. Or some people are very much like, you know what, I've got to find a way to do this. Do you see? So it's like it depends on your personality as well. Because if you're somebody who can give yourself 10 reasons why you can't do something, you won't do it.
How do you guide your children to choose the friends you think will be best for them?
I'd never do that. I think the only one I've done is from the youngest one because she's youngest and she's just got the little princess syndrome because she's just like, oh, whatever. But for me, it's very important at every single level that my relationship with my kids, they go out there and they reflect what's been taught at home. And if it hasn't, we've got to look back what didn't connect or why haven't you done. And actually, I don't think all the time parents will have a relationship with their kids, connect and give them something. They go out and peer pressure, whatever. And I don't, being a teacher and knowing, I know that sometimes the reality at home is very different to what happens outside of the home. So I think for me, I'm not going to be telling you who to choose, but I'm blessed in that I have a very close relationship with my kids. Like we talk about everything. And like we talk about every single thing. Sometimes like, okay, I don't want to hear this now. Ever. We talk everything. So for me, and they come to me a lot for, okay, mum, listen to this, yeah. What do I say to this? So this person's doing this, what do I say to, okay, cool, right. So in my head, I think they're doing it. And you know what I'm like?
Yeah.
I'm very analytical. I'm thinking about if this happens, what we're going to do here. So we're very much like that. So apart from my son, Caden, he's just like, Caden. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. They're all they're very much like, mum, look at this. Like, what should I say to this? Do you know what do I say? And it's that kind of thing. And they might, even when Kay's at uni, like she'll be sending me stuff. Mum, what do you think? I'm gonna do this. What do you think? I said, no, don't do this. Just do that. Okay, cool. It always works. And for them, it's worked. So they keep on coming back, and so that's in everything that they do. Like they really we do talk, and we do like we're a really close family in that sense. Like so.
There's no doubt that you've taught your children a number of things. What I'd be interested to know is, what do you think your children have taught you?
Oh, that's wow. Right now, I love that question. And I just don't have an answer for it. Do you know why? Because I want to answer it properly. I love it so much. I want to answer it justice. Let me think. What have my kids taught me?
This is for them to watch. They're watching.
Yeah,
they're watching right now.
They've taught me. I think I'm really proud of my kids, and I think they're really proud of me. And I think, and I don't know why. I'm not because of it. And I don't say that because, oh my gosh, I'm just this amazing person. I really we're proud of each other, and I think we got really close. And I think they taught me the power of family, because I've got best friends in the house. You see, I'm not trying to be a cool mum with a fresh, but I really have my best friends in my house. Like any emotion I'm feeling, they can, and I don't ever dump on them, but they are there. Do you see? And they all give me something different. Do you see? At different times in different ways, and they've taught me a lot about myself, about how much I can handle. Yeah, and they've been an integral part of who I am, even in my job. They really kind of that unity. We've got a lot. We really support each other in that sense, and so for me, the kids have taught me the power of relationships and family, definitely. And that sounds, of course, they're your kids, but not in just a kind of oh my gosh, it's so important to have family. I love my kids. It really is. They have come out for the way they support each other, even from a young age. I'm looking now and thinking, wow, because I was obviously a young mother, just whatever, you take things for granted. I said, wow, these kids, really, they did a lot, do you see, especially for each other, and they surprise me every day, and they're very resilient and they're whatever. And I think for me, they know a lot about stuff as well. So I can talk to them and get advice from them sometimes. What do you think? It's yeah, and they know me. So I think the power of family in that sense, that unity, we're all one. And actually, it's because we have nothing but each other. We really have nothing but each other. And so, yeah, and they've taught me that, yeah. I mean, that's it. There's so much that they've taught me. And if you ask another question, I'm not give you that question because I don't want you to ask it. But yeah, it would be a different answer that would be so encompassing so many things. But if we're talking about what they've taught me, it would be the power of family because of the experiences I've had with them. And we've been through a lot together and they've come through and if for them it's nothing, you only know you're a bad mother. You only know you're good or bad as a parent when it's too late. You will only know when it's too late to do anything about it. You will never know at the time you need to know. Obviously, you will know you're not doing that right. You shouldn't be beating your child up. You shouldn't be doing this, shouldn't be doing that, of course. But even when you've done your best, you will only know if it's been good enough when it's too late. Do you see? So that's what it is. And it's like, yeah, you kind of have to, I think these kids have kind of, sometimes go back and think, wow, they've done a lot and they've, yeah.
So you had children at quite a young age. If you could kind of go back and like when you had your first child and do anything differently, what would it have been?
I can't say anything because I'm so rich now from that experience. You see, and actually, it's that it was a making of me. You get me? It really was a making of me. But I wouldn't tell anybody else to go and do that. It's just not a normal way to live. And actually, it's that I'm very much now that I'm older, about normalizing success, wellness, health, well-being, all of those things, even luxury, as it were. Do you get me? So I don't want, it was a struggle. But I think what happens is that I was brought up in around, like when you talked about in your podcast about single parents and the rest of strong women and whatever. And I was brought up like, kind of like wearing that struggle badge of pride. And for me, it's like, yeah, you should definitely feel like you've accomplished something if you've come out the other end of something, but you shouldn't have to keep on creating struggle to kind of authenticate your being or your strength or whatever. Actually, you're a human being, and actually, why not? And it's when I moved to the school I was working at in Richmond, I realised that you coming from a school in Peckham where kids are getting sent home because their haircut is this or whatever, and parents can't make it to parents even. It's not always because they don't want to come. They're working how many jobs to kind of put food on the table and the rest of it, and no one's coming in to even complain about anything. And you get to Richmond where you've got parents like complain when you give a kid a detention. Do you get me? Like I was, and you're thinking, and the kids are quite entitled, and you don't resent them for that. Actually, I remember when I first started, I was like, what's this? Like, can we just do our job? Like, do you have to contact me about every single thing? Like, can you not just trust that, whatever? And it's like, it gets irritating after a while, and you think, actually, you know what? And the kids too, like the way they question, the way they feel so entitled to everything, and you think, actually, that's how it should be. Ashcroft, you had that feeling like it wasn't your school. You were allowed to come to the school. Now, I think people don't give Ashcroft enough credit, and I'll come back onto that in another thingy. But there is that thing about a lot of schools, where it's like, you're lucky to be coming here. Actually, no, it's my right, and you're getting money to educate me, so you better educate me. Do you see? You better allow me to come to school. You can't be telling me that I'm going to be in isolation when I'm supposed to be in maths, And so when you've got that, and parents have that voice and they use it appropriately, you're now challenging the school now. You can't be doing this. Actually, you're not supposed to be doing this. I'm supposed to be in maths. Why am I in isolation? Your friend, the lecturer, I keep on saying Omar, when he talked about, no, it wasn't Omar, it was somebody else. Was it Sucklane? Talked about being in isolation for smiling in a fire line or something, fire drill. Yeah, do you see? It's like, what's that? That's my, what is that? Do you see? But that can't happen in certain schools because the parents won't allow it, which is good. It gets annoying when it comes to every single detail. Why is my child in the class with this person? They're trying to control you. But actually, I like the fact that there are people out there fighting for their rights. So as a mother, with the question, going back to the question, I was going to say, this is where I came to. I don't know, I forgot what I was going to say now. But it's that kind of, normalizing kind of, what would I do differently? I wouldn't ask anybody to go through that because actually I feel like because there's things I didn't know at the time about how to do things better, but actually that's what's brought me to where I am, and I cannot change. I would not change anything else at all. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't change anything. I would kind of I'd be, but I wouldn't advise anybody else to do it because it's a struggle, and
So in my episode, Suleiman and I were talking about the idea of being at the mercy of your environment. And this was specifically in a state school context, in a city, London. And you've touched on it as well already. And I remember you and I having a similar conversation. And I wanted to know more about what it's like on a teacher side.
Do you know what? I always go back to this. You know why I love teaching in spectacles? Yeah, I always go back to this. And I always tell kids this when I wherever. I remember, do you remember Marley and Sean's year group.
Yeah.
So I taught a class there. I remember there was a mufti day or something. And the kids were laughing at one of the boys because those were back in the days when we used to see people wearing AstroTurfs and jeans. Yeah, right. So you don't wear the type. Yeah. So the guy was wearing AstroTurfs, jeans and AstroTurfs, yeah, and they were laughing at him and they were just taking a mick out of him and going on. And they're just laughing, like, and it's just banter, but I could see, when Dad will tell you, I'm all about the banter. Anybody that knows me will tell you, Mrs. And I will go, like, I love the banter. But I'm also like, that person's not bantering with you. That's not your banter, mate. So what you're doing right now is not bantering. It's not bullying. Bullying is a strong word, but it's not bantering. You're finding it funny, but actually I'm thinking to myself, that might be what the parent can afford. You see, they can't say to their parent, "Can you buy me this?" The parents bought, so don't be doing that. You see, so I had to finish that. I remember in the class, and I said to them, I said to them, "Do you know that there are actually kids in other schools, who wouldn't step foot, wouldn't put their dirty AstroTurfs, where you lay your head? Their parents would not allow them. You call the estate you call home. Their parents would allow them to come to where you live. Do you see? Yeah." That's not because where you live is whatever. You should be proud of where you live. But what I'm trying to say to you is that there's something bigger out here at play. You can't be laughing at somebody's shoes. Do you see? Yeah? And you lot think you're rich because you've got a PlayStation or you've got this, you're wearing these trainers, whatever. But there are people out there that are laughing at you for... So let's stop all of this. We're all in this together. Do you see? Yeah, we're all in this together. We're all broke. Yeah?
I was with you.
Yeah?
I was going to say that myself.
Yeah? We're all broke. Do you see? We're all broke. And I mean, it's true. I take my daughter to parties and it's a private road. Yeah. They live on a private road. Do you see? So actually, do you think...
It's not on Google Maps.
Yeah, exactly. So do I care about AstroTurfs you're wearing? And they're wearing beat-down trainers, whatever, but their future is secured. And you're sitting in this classroom... Do you see? Struggling to get a C in English, and we're talking about the boys I mentioned that we're not struggling. They were just saying they're a year group, innit? Yeah, and we're talking about somebody's clothes. You see? And I remember the look in the boy's face was like, because he's one of these, he's like an Asian boy just trying to do well, whatever. And it was like almost like relief, and everybody's just quiet. Everybody was just quiet. So this is what I'm talking to you about. I've been talking to you about when we're doing priestly and the rest of it, and we're talking about class and status and the rest of it. And you're not even aware that you're working. You don't even know you're working class. Do you see? Nothing wrong with being working class, but you don't know what that means about the way people perceive you and how you have to fight against certain things. And you're sitting here laughing at somebody. We're all broke. So let's just get on with this now. And it was just like, for them, it was like, okay, so as a teacher, for me, it's not just about teaching them the English, the literature, the whatever, blah, blah, blah. It really is about teaching them who are you and what could you be? What could you do? One of the saddest things for me was like, obviously, we had to bury one of our students about 2 years ago, Malcolm. That was like, it was the worst night. And I remember the kids all calling me on the night. I remember driving and one of the kids calling me and said, "Miss, where are you?" And they're all in the background saying, "No, I'm not. I'm just on my way home. What's up, Justice?" Because normally they'd be doing that, meaning they're on their way to school to come and see me. And I'm like, "Oh, no, I'm on my way home now, whatever." And somebody's like, "Oh, she's driving now. Allow it. If she's driving, allow it." I said, "No, what's wrong? I got you on loudspeaker." No, miss, it's okay, whatever. "No, miss, are you driving? Can you park up?" I was like, "What?" And then they just, they just whatever. And I said, "Yeah, I'm parked up." I wasn't parked up. I said, "Yeah, I'm parked up. What is it?" And so, they said, no, allow it. Just don't tell it. I said, what is it? And they told me that he'd been, and it was like, it was crazy. And I remember making my way to St. George's and then seeing his mum there and the brother. She hadn't told the brother yet. They didn't, whatever. It was mad. And just being there and the kids all came and they all came it was crazy. They all came to the hospital and obviously we knew he'd gone. And it was just crazy. And I think when the hospital saw all these boys, it's obviously just stabbing and whatever. And he was not that kind of kid either, you see. And they saw it, they were all kind of like, "Oh my gosh, whatever. They just come out and say, "Guys, can you please?" And then every time "All right, miss, okay. It's that kind of, that relationship, you've got and I know these boys are not they're not going to come and do anything in the hospital, do you see? But I know the perception people have of them. So having to be in that kind of buffer was actually really, and that's the relationship. That's when you talk about feedback and those kind of things. And I remember being there and having to go in there one by one with them to kind of see the body and this whatever, and they're talking, and after that we had this every Friday we're at Malcolm's house, like all of us at Malcolm's house, the kids, and the family opened up their home to all of these kids, like, and literally every weekend, like a party, Friday we were in that house, in that home, just kind of like, it was like together, and for me, why would I get that? I could not work in a city and get that kind of feedback. Do you see that? Well, that's, for me, that's feedback. And every day being there, like, and kids coming and them, and just being able to grieve and mourn with them, but actually kind of like, let's build this up now, let's get this, and that was, honestly, it was the most bitter. I won't say bittersweet because I would do I'd get rid of all of that unity to bring Malcolm back. Do you understand? But the fact that in his death that could have happened, it was amazing. It was, honestly, it was, and the family as well. Like, for me, that was just like, it was. Yeah, I don't think, and those are the kind of things that I'm proud of. When I see my kids, when I see the kids, I'm proud of you, because like when like my Kingsdale lot call me and say, "Mum, we're taking you out, whatever." He's about to go in Nando's, got to go and find somewhere that's halal, obviously, whatever. We have a few places we'll go to, and whatever. We'll sit there, and I will cry, like the way we will laugh, the way we will laugh. And like the way they're just so like, and they want to share things with you and whatever. Like, I'm so proud of you lot, because you lot are, SK's driving. Yeah, you got a car now, whatever. Yeah, whatever. It's so like, and it's for me, it's even to get a trim. Like, is that you? But yeah, honestly, it's yeah, you there's no other job like it. There's no, that's what I'm saying, obviously. I'm biased because this is my job and I love it and I live for it. There's no other job like it. There's nothing like, there's nothing like it at all. And yeah, I'll do it for free. Get up in the morning and do it for free. Won the lottery, I think I'll definitely go back into work. At least I'll be able to choose my school. That's it, yeah, but yeah. Challenge the world. Just challenge the world. Like, why not me? Why can't I? Why shouldn't I? I've done this now. What's going to happen now? That kind of thing. Just don't allow people to kind of don't give people excuses to fail you. And that's what used to worry me a lot. Like, like, don't give people excuses to fail you. Like, yeah.
My final question then would be, what way do you want to challenge the world?
What? I don't. You know what? Your friend, Sakale?
Seclain.
It's a lovely name. Sakale, was talking about like imposter syndrome and being a great person, whatever, blah, blah, whatever. And that's really me. So I don't have an answer to that question, because I just do what I do on a daily basis. I think advocate for, I'm quite a bit of an advocate for the underdog, as long as the underdog is, whatever. So in your day, I just think in your own sphere of influence, do you see? Going back to, because you want to talk about kids from Ashcroft and the rest of it. So like something like Shaq, for example. I remember Shaq when it was it A-level time, and it was his drama, and they're like, you know what, that's it, you're off, you're not gonna do it, you're not bothered with whatever. And we know Shaq's journey, like maybe I shouldn't say, I don't know, but she'll share his journey anyway, whatever. And I'm like, this guy's got to A-levels and he's doing drama, and he's really in it. Like, why would we not? Do you see? So I don't teach drama, whatever. Okay, cool. I went to see the drama teacher. Like, what does he need to do? Like, I had the whole 2 years coursework to do, yeah. And he had until a certain time to finish it, like days. We had a weekend. At I think Thursday. So that week, every day after school, we're doing some of it just to get you through, to get a grade so you can stay on the course. And it was that challenging. Miss Roberts said, okay, right, cool. I get that. Because actually, yeah, Shaq was an underdog in every whatever. But he'd also put himself in a position where he hadn't done the work. Do you get me? Whatever. But, right, why would we not do this? Whatever. Okay, if you can get him to do it by this time. And no, everybody, it was not going to happen. Do you see? It was not going to happen. I remember having a discussion with somebody and them being a bit annoyed about me prolonging the situation. And, Shaq's volatile. Like, you just don't know if he's going to, someone like Jacob is, but, he's always going to, he's just, because he's like a son, do you see? So he's always kind of, but Shaq, you just don't know when he goes, I can't be bothered and just whatever. So I remember one time, he came to my classroom and there was a teacher there, one of the teachers, and they'd been, because it's him, it's like kind of, what are you in here? And he's, well, I'm Mr. Few times which not teacher's not in the classroom, you're not supposed to be in here, whatever, but whatever, why you? And when I came, they were talking to him, and he was sitting on the floor, and they were talking to him, and they're really kind of, and I hate that kind of stand over kids talking to him in that way, but they were. And when he came in, he said, like, Miss, it's only because of you, like, that I didn't spaz out and just do something, do you see? And I was like, thank you, I really appreciate it, even though we're here for you, but I appreciate that, because actually a lot of times the kids will do it for you, do you see? And we sat down and we did it, and he remembers that, and we'll talk about it, whatever. And he went on to he started this uni course in performing arts, whatever, like such a great uni, do you understand? But it was him as well, like the expectation for him was to just fail. And yeah, you're going to and it's that kind of like comeback, like, actually, thank you so much. You challenge them too. Do you understand? And now you have to be on a course and you get whatever. And then you actually, imagine the difference, the change that would have made. Do you understand? And we know what the alternative could have been. So actually, for me, it's like challenging the world. So for me, if I'm going to be challenging the world, it's going to be basically on that, and advocating for, where I think that's what it is. Because you can't, I don't, and also I don't think I have that much power. And I think we all have I think we have to focus now on, in our little spheres of influence, what can we do to influence change? People are trying to be big influencers. Like, influence is actually a term, it's actually an occupation now, do you understand? And good or bad, whatever. And people are trying to be that. People are trying to, and the fame that comes with it, and the name that comes with it, and everything else that comes with it. Actually, let's just calm down now. Whenever a movement comes, everyone wants to jump on a movement. But on a day-to-day, what are you actually doing? And I think for me, it's about showing kids that their lives matter, and like actually, and advocating for them because it matters. And no matter how many times they fall, they come back to you. You have to. I just saying no to a kid is difficult. It should be difficult because they've got their whole life ahead of them, and you shouldn't be giving up on them so easy or so quickly. But yeah.
In your own words, how would you define success?
Just realizing and achieving your purpose. It's about purpose. I think a purpose-driven life is one that's just gonna just always be whatever. You're gonna always be on the journey. You're always. It's one of those things. That's me. It sounds a bit cliche, a bit wishy-washy, and whatever. And I know a lot of people, and also it might also sound a bit dated because now it's all about targets and this and that. But I think a purpose-driven life. It's purpose that led me here today. Do you see? Because actually, it's a Sadine's doing something like that's Sadine. Like I've got to be there. It's not like, oh, I've got an appointment, whatever, and I'm going to be up here and whatever. I hate being on the camera. The camera's added so many pounds, whatever. I hate whatever. I don't like it. It's not. I like to talk, as you can tell. Yeah, I talk a lot, but I'd rather not be on camera. I'd rather not be whatever. But like. I'm doing it for sad, you see, and it's a purpose-driven life. I think that is it. And when you find and you manage to get into your purpose, get into it and live it, that's success, isn't it? I mean, and a few Birkin bags on the side.
I was watching a speech by Chadwick Boseman to Denzel Washington about like an achievement award. Mm-hmm. And he says, let she who has watered be watered. So that kind of comes to mind.
Oh, okay. That's a nice note. So profound. That's gonna stick with me.
Intersection.
Let's delve deep into that. Oh, Saturday, man. But yeah. It's been good. Well done, guys. I love this, what you lot are doing here. Seriously, it's nice. And the friends, watching your friends come on and the rest of it, it's a nice little, it's massive. It's nice that you guys, what you said about your lecture saying, don't get too attached to this place and whatever. And like, it's like, light work, because it's like that normalizing whatever. But I think you also, on the other hand, have to realize that this is a big deal because we're still fighting to get people like you in these institutions. Do you see? And you're here. Do you get me? So it's like, I remember when I was doing my A-levels, I didn't even know there was a Russell Group. I didn't even know there were Russell Group universities. They were telling me to pick a university in London because I had a daughter and get one with a creche. Do you get me? And then, maybe do you even go to university? Picked my course for me, whatever. And actually, I could have gone to King's. Could have gone to London School of Economics. Do you get me? I could have done those things, but no one ever told me about those things, and now we've got kids now who don't know about the university system. So it's those kind of things where you think to yourself, actually, you know what, it's good that you're not letting it get to your head and you remain grounded in the rest of it, but it's important that people know that this is what we need to make the norm, and it's not the norm, do you see? And that's why it's like it should be celebrated, not you lot, but the position you lot are in needs to be celebrated. And actually, you've got there against a lot of odds, you know. So yeah, it's good.
On that bombshell. On that bombshell.
Yeah, give us your feedback and get in touch, and thank you for coming through.